the bridge, right? When this comes out, like if we're looking at even more, why is it called Reunion? Why is it called Reunion? Why does it have the exact same game structure as Final Fantasy VII Remake games? Why? Because they want you to know what's here. Because they want you to know to check out this version of the game, because most likely it is going to have stuff that completely connects what the hell the event is.
Oh, actually, I'm tripping. I gotta make sure my thing don't turn off.
A reunion of your nostalgia? That's not how they do their naming, right? Granted, you're not wrong. It is. These Final Fantasy titles that they've been doing lately have multiple meanings, right? Rebirth has a great meaning, right? Remake has a great meaning. They're literally just remaking the game. Rebirth, yeah, it's like, yeah, they're essentially, this is the rebirth of Final Fantasy VII, the part everyone loves about it, the non-Midgar part. It's being reborn, awesome. Reunion, yes, we're getting all these characters back in Crisis Core. It's a reunion of characters. But then there's like the subtext meaning of all of it, right? There's actually like the subtext that this is a reunion of this game practically to the main title story. Like there could be several things that make a lot of sense. And the fact that it does have a similar naming sequence as the main game makes me think that there's going to be a direct correlation. That there won't just be like a one-to-one HD remake. There will be new shit in here that directly ties it to the main game. Whether that's like a new ending, whether that's different stuff in the main story. The ambiguity is the best part of it because we don't know, right? So we'll see. There will be a very good reason, I think, to play this game when it comes out if you're looking forward to Remake Part 2. I think there's going to be a very good reason to check this out. They planned this shit, you better believe it. Dude, if there was one thing that we got the huge inclination about when we finished Remake Part 1, even without the DLC, was that like, oh fuck, they got a big plan for this shit. That was before we knew it was going to be a trilogy. We were like, oh man, they've really been thinking about this shit for a long time. And then like 6 months later, some interviews come out with the developers, and they're like, oh no, we've actually been planning it since the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. Like it's the same story structure that we have been figuring out since way back then that we essentially didn't get to do. So yeah, they've been planning it for 10 plus years. They've been planning it since like the mid-2000s. They said that. It's just taken a much different shape because it obviously was not made in the late 2000s. It was being made in the 2020s now, so it's a different thing. But yes, it's been planned for a long fucking time. A hell of a long time. Advent Children was the beginning of it. Nuts, right? Especially once we started figuring out like the Sephiroth is Biff Tannen shit. Especially there was like more hints that there's multiple timelines where Zack is alive now. It was like, oh Jesus, dude, where is this going? Where? This seems ridiculously ambitious and really crazy, and they must have such a good idea for it that it's gonna pay off. Because they eventually, in order to set you up for it, they had to give us an element in Remake Part 1 that nobody liked. The stupid fate shit, right, is the part that nobody likes in Part 1. All it is, though, is setup. It's just allowing new things to happen for the future games. So hopefully set up for something that's way better, right? That is significantly more enjoyable than what was at the beginning. The plot ghost stuff was okay at the start, but I think where it eventually goes is a bit like, Jesus, this game has taken a much different turn, right? This game is much. This is a much different tone than a lot of what the rest of the game was. But that's super intentional, right? That's very intentional for it to be that way, so that we can essentially be given a future of the series where we don't know what the fuck is going to happen, like how it's going to happen, what's going to happen. That's good, right? That gives the devs a little bit of creative freedom to move forward. We literally shattered Fate in order to tell a new story. Not everyone's going to be okay with that. You mean like they're gonna make like a straw poll, or they're gonna make a we're gonna consult. We're gonna make sure we have to consult everyone that killing Fate was okay. I mean, don't worry about it. It's just a fictional story, fictional universe. They can kill Fate. that game is brutal. First half of that game is really brutal. There's not many great characters, and it plays awfully. And then the second half, it's pretty good.
Wow, look at Drake.
It gets good when Zach grows up. New Nazi sound causing a root fight in the past. Sound Patch Kids. Sound sweet and fun.
If you think you need to speed, keep in mind, officers are only words. Traffic. Never know where they get there. So slow down. Drive smartly.
Buy a 2022 Neo QLED 8K, get a Galaxy S22 on us.
That's strange. Ton of Wi-Fi service tickets just rolled in, but I can see any network issues.
But the light is on.
You know, Juniper's industry-leading AI gives you insight into exactly what's wrong and how to fix it, removing all your blind spots.
What's so much?
It's your journey. Own it in the Hyundai Tucson. Get 2.79% APR for 60 months on the Tucson with new inventory arriving daily. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
So this is the Meta Total Plus, a smart video calling device that makes working from home work. It syncs with your favorite VC app, so you'll never miss a meeting, and neither will she. Meta Portal, make working from home work for you.
I'm loving this new Mountain Dew Legend.
Because
I like Chicago being the only place with so many 14 degrees.
Told you to go bring it up. You gotta let it go, man.
Oh, I did. 14 beautiful times.
Not that anybody's counting. Seems pretty cool, but I haven't played a ton of it. I enjoyed FF15. I'm probably gonna like FF16. I like FF6. I like FF Tactics. Right? I like those stuff. I think those games. I played all those games and I think they're good, but I find them very forgettable. At least to me. Where I loved when I played them and then I completely forgot about them after. So, if you want somebody that like really is a diehard Final Fantasy fan in general, you might want to consult somebody else because I'm actually not that. 6? No. Sorry, that didn't. I said 6 was good. I meant personally. I found 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 kind of forgettable, and I like Final Fantasy 15. So I'm definitely not a Final Fantasy fan, you know? I like tactics and shit, right? It's weird. You know what I like about Final Fantasy? You know what I love the most about Final Fantasy? It's called Final Fantasy 7. I'm like Third Strike players, man. Third Strike players just love Third Strike, you know? A lot of Final Fantasy 7 fans, like a lot of Final Fantasy 7 love Final Fantasy 7. Third Strike only. So yeah, even if like an FF9 remake came out, I might check it out. But if you would be like, would you play the original Final Fantasy 9 again? No, I'm good. I'm definitely good. Beautiful game, definitely good. The only character I remember in that game is Vivi. I don't remember anybody else. I don't remember fucking. So eventually you fight God. I don't know what the fuck happens. I forgot all of it. Yeah, 6 has a lot of memorable shit. That's why I like 6, you know? 6 has a lot of cool, memorable moments and characters that I think are great. The bad guy winning is great, you know? Not even Steiner? I forget that character exists. Who's the character with the dreads? There's like a dude with like gray skin or green skin and like dreads and shit. He's like almost as forgettable as Kimari. Amaranth? Wow. Amaranth is in Final Fantasy IX? That's crazy. Damn, they called it that early on? Shit. Amaranth? Final Fantasy IX and ASMR? Fuck, that's crazy. Anyway. I'll call it as I see it. They could leave Kate Sith out of FF7 and nobody would notice. Kate Sith could be missing from FF7 Rebirth, and people are like, "That game was great." Good game. Like all the reviews, amazingly faithful to the original. They put everything in, and Kate Sith was just not in the game at all. Beautiful rendition of a classic. How could they fit that much in? Still no Kate Sith anywhere. Bangarang, thanks for the $10, man. I really liked FF10 when it came out. I did. I thought it was amazing. And then a week later happened. And I completely forgot about the game. There's something about it. Like, the experience itself was good, and I thought about playing through it again, and I just couldn't do it. Like, once I knew everything that was going to happen, I was like, I think I'm good, you know? I think I'm good. Am I testing the Steam version of 7 Remake? Is it good? Does it have crazy stuttering and all that nasty bullshit? Is it pronounced Ketchi? Yeah, I'm sure it is. So anyway, they could leave Kate Sith out of there and everyone would be happy. Is it actually working good? I haven't played the Epic Games version in a hell of a long time. I was sort of waiting on that, you know? In fact, weirdly enough, I didn't really want to play through Final Fantasy VII Remake after seeing all this stuff. I wanted to play through maybe 7 Original on PlayStation 1 and get out of Midgar, right? Actually get out of Midgar to sort of see like where things go, what they can do with stuff. New Threat is a different thing, right? New Threat I want to save for... We got a lot of time, dude, right? Don't get me wrong. I might want to invest some time into some Final Fantasy VII stuff, but we got a lot of time. So I don't know if I want to immediately jump back into like New Threat or anything like that right now. I think I want to save that. Also let it get developed a little bit more. And let us get a bit closer to the launch of the game, and we'll eventually do that. I'm not playing Dirt to Cerberus again. I am not. I did it once on stream. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I would like to find an opportunity to watch Advent Children if it's available on shit.
勝ち目がないことがなぜわからん。精度を上げていく。精度を上げていく。最高のカードを決め。さてカウンティングオーバー。ホームズこの鍵を開けてやろう。裁きの時、世界の策は我が怪力剣。無駄だ。切り込む。
天使さんお願いします。
ここでこうだ。当然だろ。
えいやさん。
夢中だな。こういうのどうだ。夢中だな。他にやることないの？くだらん。あいた。撤回。悪いね。撤回だ。
殺しますね。 それそれそれどう
Now, my theory of Roach is that he's gonna appear. Yeah, Roach is gonna still be in the story. My theory of Roach, that I said during part 1, is that
古きルールどれにしようかこういうこともできる
よく戦ったくだ出番だ水郷よな原子は混ざり固まり万象を織りなす星を生み死して敗せよ
震え凍てつき砕け散る時まで諦めることは許さんぞ
by the time it's over, right? By the time you have your last fight with Roach, he's going to be like unable to battle at all and essentially die. Which is going to be a nice story because it's like that is the story of the soldiers, right? That's the whole story of what soldiers are. That they eventually are just going to get fucking killed by it. Fits thematically. And it's cool because that's a big part of what Crisis Core is, right? That's the whole point of Crisis Core. So, what about Johnny? I hope Johnny comes back. Johnny was a substantially like an actual good humor character, right? Was he forced? 100%. They gave Johnny way more stuff than he had done in the original game. But them giving Johnny more stuff to do is great. Him appearing in more places later up like Costa del Sol and stuff like that is funny. I want whenever Johnny's around to have goofy lines and shit and talking about the sauce. I genuinely enjoyed his conclusion, you know, or I'm sorry, his inclusion. Yo, Chadley, thanks for the 777s. How will they handle summons and rebirth though? Will Chadley chill somewhere? Well, no. I think summons will actually have story relevance in part 2 instead of just like VR shit. I think that Chadley will still be around, but I don't know, man. I think there's much more reason for summons to exist and use them and for them to be battleable and shit like that in part 2 than part 1 that is confined to Midgar, where you have no summons originally, right? There was always very little reason why you were running into summons and stuff like that in Midgar and just picking them up randomly, like, oh shit, I have found a freak next to a giant industrial fan. He freaked. Like, it was always weird. Usually you would get summons for like very specific places and locations and stuff like that. Like it would pop into your acquisition in ways that kind of made sense, sort of. Like Chocomog, yeah, Chocomog was given to you by Chocobos and shit. Someone just threw out
夏の気配が近づいてき慣れた頃ほど油断
There was one that was literally like on the way up to the next the few chapters in the middle, where you literally find a summon and a fan. That one was Chocomog, yeah. Like it was like, okay, you have to think of the dev side. We can't not have summons. You know? Like, it's a fucking Final Fantasy game. We can't not have fucking summons. So how do we stick summons into a game that's just in Midgar, right? In what way do we make this make sense? Okay, well, we got Chadley, we got a stupid VR bullshit. We're gonna sort of stick them around. We got powerful materia that you can summon shit, yada yada yada. Right? So they make reasons why it's possible in Remake Part 1. And we sort of just went along with it. We're like, okay, sure. But how much better is it gonna be in actual Remake Part 2 where they're in the world, right? Where they're actually throughout the world in places that make sense, you know? Where you get like Bahamut and shit like that in Temple of the Ancients. Well, it makes sense to get Bahamut there, right? That shit has to actually make fucking sense because it's a Temple of the Ancients, you know? Nice of that, that's actually part of the story, you know? But anyway. Odin is stuck in a safe? Yeah, that's kind of weird, right? But Odin is stuck in a safe, and Odin's a weird, creepy summon, too. But where is he stuck? He's stuck in a safe in a weird, creepy place, right? He's jacked up. Titan is in the Gondaga reactor. Yeah, that has to happen, right? That has to happen. that kind of makes sense because those are centralized parts where there's like focused materia from reactors and stuff where, you know, the primals of the fucking planet are essentially housed in that shit. They're in places that kind of make sense, right? Not doesn't entirely make sense, but it is. I think that's something that could definitely be a lot better. Leviathan and Mutai is great. Yeah, that's actually part of the story, right?
さてギャンブルだ。得意だけどまずは様子見といこう。
ヒューストン、聞こえますか？シールズアップ。
最高のカードを君に。つまり夢中だな。他にやることないの？
見届けロジャーカピー。僕は導く人の夢、人の望み。いつか僕らはたどり着く。ペイル、ブルー、ドット。
切り込む。
覚えたよ。
こういうのどうだ？リラックスリラックス。
見届けロジャーカピー。僕は導く人の夢、人の望み。いつか僕らはたどり着く。ペイル、ブルー、ドット。
つまり夢中だな。他にやることないの？すべては僕の思うまま。行くかい？ってね。
アイマスター。
これぞ大軍師の究極陣地。切り込む。
セントール、フルスラッ
行くぞ。
ト。アイマスター。
ハッピーエンドの話をしよう。星の宇宙、モノミの楽園の端から君に聞かせよう。罪なき者のみ通るガーデン・オブ・アバロン。おっと。
古きルール、どれにしようかな。古きルール。オーケー。アイマスター。僕は導く人の夢、人の望み。いつか僕らはたどり着く。ペイル、ブルー、ドット。第2スーパーポイジャーパンチ。ロジャーカピー。大中速度ビーミーアップ。がスピーシュ。
have feet, he better not. You better be floating around. Better be floating around or it's not my remake. Yo, Couchin, thanks for the tier 1, dude. Yo, Bangarang put in 10, and if it is separate timelines, I think Sephiroth will succeed in getting Todd to join him in the Zack timeline since he won't have the squad to support him and Zack will have to deal with the consequences. Yeah, maybe. Shit will be different over there. John Ned, thanks for the 10. Will Crisis Core Reunion give the ending for next year? Yeah, the same. Most likely. I'll be seeing my thanks for the 777. Sephiroth's theme and remake. It's called One Ring Winged Angel Rebirth. In front of us the whole time. It's been in front of our face the entire fucking time. It was there all along. All that theorizing when it was in plain sight. Yeah, so what does that mean? The trilogy of Final Fantasy VII Remake games, all the titles are referring to Sephiroth, right? The trilogy is actually all about Sephiroth and what he's going through to essentially remake, rebirth, and do whatever the next thing is. Right? That is the whole story. Reclaim? I don't know. Whatever the heck the next one's gonna be called. Re-Morbid? Yeah. I love this track. It constantly throws you off guard. You think it's gonna start and it doesn't start. Think it's going to lead to the thing it leads to usually? Doesn't lead to it.